Okay, I think we're going. Hi, everyone. I'm Tyler. I'm a digital creator, programming research facilitator, and I am here with my good friend and roommate, Tim Roth. He's an electronic musician, also a percussionist and a researcher. And Tim's going to be showing us a little bit about Max today. Max is like well, Tim will tell you more about it, but Max is basically this really cool software that lets you do live effects with music. And with that, I'm gonna hand it over to Tim.
Thanks so much, Tyler. I really appreciate it. Yeah, my name is Tim. I'm really happy to be here. I'm a musician. I play all sorts of different music. Um, and I'm in school for music and university. And, you can take classes on a variety of subjects. Lots of them are primarily about classical music, but one course that is often taught at a lot of schools is how to use this software called MaxMSP. Um, and it's a really important software for music specifically. But the great thing about Max is that it's kind of like a sandbox software, so it's not meant to do one specific thing. You can actually sort of go in and build almost anything you want. And it's very popularly used for music purposes, to create special custom musical programs for yourself. But the wonderful thing about Max is you can use it for anything. It's wonderful with video. I've heard of people using it for lighting rigs. You can do your taxes on Max. And so I'm really excited to sort of show you the basics of it and show you around. It's something that I'm really glad I learned, and I use it all the time, musical projects and otherwise. Um, and it's kind of fun because it's like coding, except I enjoy it a lot more because it's not like the classic, the hacker typing in code. You actually use shapes, and it has like a graphic overview, which makes it really fun. And I actually think of it like, I kind of think about it like Legos, and that you can build whatever you want out of it. But just like Legos, Max does come with some very special pre-built pieces that allow you to do really cool things and make your life a lot easier because they have these extremely nifty, interesting sort of custom-built Lego pieces. Um, so I'm gonna share my screen quickly, and I can just open up a quick Max patch and show you what it looks like. So Max is, you can open it up, and this is a final project. It doesn't look like that. It actually just looks like this sort of big open sandbox type thing. And what you can do is you can create different types of items within there and connect them all to each other. So one type is called an object. So let's say I'm going to pull up this metronome object, and each object, like I said, they're those special Legos that they're designed to do very specific things, and you can send messages to objects to tell them exactly what to do. So the metro object acts kind of like a metronome, and so just like a metronome, you can either turn it on or off. And to do that, I can send either a one message or a zero message to it, and I can say how fast I want it to go. And that will output what's called a quick bang, which I have down here. And so the metronome is going to bang the button at an indicated speed, which in this case it's in milliseconds. So if I put it to 1,000 milliseconds, I'm saying I want it to bang this button once every 1,000 milliseconds, and then I start. And so now every second, if as long as I keep this patch open and I keep this computer on, and if I don't turn it off, it will output this bang every single second. And so there I've just made my own tiny little, instrument almost, but not quite yet an instrument, a prototype, just using by connecting a couple things like this. And so you can click and drag and move them around and shape them however you want. And you can delete connections and add connections. So it's really fun, and it's very almost artistic, and you can sort of really get into making these really beautiful patches, and putting things in, arranging them in a really cool, fun way. Um, so that's a very very basic. This is what the inner guts looks like. I wanted to just show you some projects that I've been working on. We can let that go. So I'm going to start off with a piece that I'm actually working on with Tyler right now. And I recorded some quick excerpts from a rehearsal we did a couple nights ago. Now this is like a new music percussion type piece that we're working on with our teacher Ayun Huang, and it's for a gong basically, and that gong you hold a microphone very close to it and play it, and that goes through a bunch of sort of electronic equipment that goes out to speakers around the audience. And this piece was composed by this German composer Karl-Heinz Stockhausen in the 1960s. It's called Microphony 1. The problem with it, though, is that it's actually really hard to put the piece together and to play it because the composer Stockhausen, he calls for all these pieces of electronics that don't exist today. He uses very special bandpass filter. I can't even pronounce the original. But only 100 of them were made in Germany in the 1960s. And so what a lot of people do is instead of, going on a treasure hunt and tracking down this piece of equipment, what they do is they turn to something like MaxMSP and they make their own piece of equipment using this software. And that way you have something where, first of all, you don't have to go find the electronics, but then you don't have to lug them around. You can just bring your laptop and show up and open everything up and it's there. And one really, really cool thing about Max is that, anything you make, if I wanted to send this to Tyler right now, all I would have to do is save this, open up my email, shoot it over to him, and then he could open it up on his computer. So here is a quick video of the piece that we're working on right now, Microphony 1. And it's just a couple different quick snapshot excerpts. And then I'll show you the Max patch that I made for this piece. Yeah, so those are a couple of snippets of what the piece looks like. It's 30 minutes in total, and there's actually 3 other people. So, but that's how the piece sort of looks. And so Tyler and our teacher Ayun are actually on the tam tam, the big gong, sort of playing on it and holding a microphone close to it. And what I'm doing is, if you can hear the little bit of the, I'm running that through a filter, and I actually made that filter in MaxMSP, which I can show you. So here's this is the sort of ugly version. I'll show you the pretty version. So this is my filter and my potentiometer that I sort of put together for Microphony 1. And so I tried to base it off the original equipment. And so just like how Tyler and Ayun are playing the gong as their instrument in this piece, for me, my instrument is this. It's this Max patch. And I'm playing it, if you can see my camera, I'm playing it using this down here. That I've sort of jerry-rigged up in order to be able to use this piece of equipment. So right now, I have it hooked up to just bring a bunch of noise through. So if I bring the volume up, you can hear that. So I can move my fingers really easily and get these crazy sounds. So just imagine that coming through, except instead of, the noise, it's actually the sounds of Tyler playing the gong. And that's exactly what this piece is. And so the composer has written out music just like you would for piano, but he's written it for this instrument. And so I'm reading along and playing these electronics and going while Tyler and our teacher Ayun do their thing on the gong. So this is how I have used MaxMSP in order to sort of work on my own musical performance and my practice. And this is a piece that I've been trying to play for a long time. I've been very excited about. And I wouldn't be able to do it at all if it wasn't for MaxMSP. And so I'm very, very grateful that I learned it. So there's a lot of history behind this program. To give a quick overview, it was invented in the late 1980s by a computer scientist who's still with us today named Miller Puckett. And it was originally developed so that composers could had a way to sort of interact with these larger, older type of synthesizers and sort of music machines. Um, so that, but they were very difficult to work with. And so what Miller Puckett did was he made something like Max, which you could load into an older style Macintosh computer, and then all of a sudden you had an easy way for composers to control these machines and to write music and make pieces. And what actually happened in the following years was as computers got more and more powerful, you didn't need to just use the computer to control these machines or these synthesizers. The computer itself could actually sort of be responsible for all of that noise. And so now you have a program, MaxMSP, that shortened to Max now, that is a commercially released program where you can create all sorts of sounds or manipulate sounds inside the program itself, which seems really normal now, but back in the day, back in the in the 90s, this was a really huge thing when it came out. So there are quite a number of things you can do on this, and there's no way I can get through them all in even a single day, if a week. But I can definitely show you some of my favorite things and how I put those together. So one of the very first things you learn how to do when you take a MaxMSP course or you look at a tutorial online is you learn how to record into Max, and then you learn how to play it back. And there is an object for that. So, this might look complicated and building, sometimes it looks, stressful and weird, but the basics are always the same in that, when you have Max objects and when you're putting something together, you need something to either produce sound or something to have sound come in. You have something in the middle that, either lets the sound go through or it does something interesting with the sound. And then you have the sound has to come out somewhere eventually. So right now I'm going to focus on bringing sound in because, I just want to quickly record. So I'm going to use an SF record object. And you just have to send it a few messages in order for this object to work. You have to give it some commands. So I'm going to give a quick toggle, and this is how I turn it on and off. And I'm going to send it an open message. And so here I can create a new file, and I can call it anything. I'm going to call it my name is Tim. Save. And so now I can quickly record my name is Tim. And if I've done everything right, this object should now be saved in my folder right here. As easy as that. And if I want to play it again, oh, actually, that wouldn't work at all because I forgot a very important step. I don't have any sound going in. So what I have to do is I have to make this little microphone right here. And now this is going to run right into the record. So now when I'll just have to create another file. This is also a big part of Max is everything going wrong, and then you have to try it again. Hello again. Save. And now when I record, I'm going to try it. Hello again. And we'll see if that worked. So now I'm going to use another object called SF Play. And same thing. I have to open it. and I need something, this is called a toggle that can start and stop it. And finally, the sound needs to go somewhere, so I'm going to make a little speaker down here, and the sound is going to come out to the speaker. And I'm just going to add one thing in the middle. This live.gain is going to allow me to control the volume a little bit, just in case sometimes things get very, very loud. That way I can just turn it down if needed. So if I go to open and I say I'd like you to play hello again, hopefully this works. Hello again. And there I am. So I can open up any audio file that I want to, and just wanted to do the one that I just recorded so that I could prove to myself that it worked at least. And you can do lots of fun things with this. One thing you can do is you can go into messages and you can add special commands called attributes. So if I want this to loop, then what I can do is just add this special message right here. And then next time I stop and start it again, I think I need to reopen it. Hello again. Hello again. Hello again. Hello again. And then I can listen to my own voice all day long. And there's lots of different ways to do something like that. Let's say I don't want it to loop anymore, but I want to control exactly when it's played, and I want it to be at a speed that I can change it. Then what I can do is I can connect it to that metronome. The first thing that I did, I can just click and drag this all the way to here. If I give it a special command that is 1, that I want you to just play every time this metronome goes off. Hello again. Hello again. Hello again. Hello again. Hello again. Hello. And then that can get kind of crazy because here I can change the speed of this and make the metronome faster and slower. Hello again. Hello again. Hello again. Hello again. Hello. 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 And it sort of starts cutting itself off, but you get the picture. And so in that way you can connect, almost any single string of sort of little MaxMSP bundles that you put together, and you can make some really fun, really cool things. One of my favorites is to create a sound that is basically a delay. It's kind of like an effect, like it's almost like a guitar pedal, but one really fun thing about Max is that you can sort of customize it and make it as cool as you want. So it's kind of like introducing a second version of that sound that comes slightly after. So in Max, you can use what's called a tap in and a tap out. And that basically says, I want you to play this sound, but I want you to wait a little bit before you do it again. So here I'm going to say I want you to wait 500 milliseconds, which is just half a second. Oh, and I wrote 2 tap-ins, so that's going to be tap in and tap out. Bear with my, my live coding here. So now I have the original sound coming in to the speaker down here, and then I have this extra tap in and tap out. So it just waits an extra half a second and then plays the exact same thing. So now, hello again, hello again, hello again, hello again. Now you have 2. And I can even do a second one, and I can say maybe let's do this for, I want it to be half as long. So I'm going to say these are going to be 250. And just going to connect them right up the same and do it here. Oh, not that one. Just going to do one to the left and one to the right for stereo. Hello again, hello again. Hello again, hello again. Is that working? Hello again, hello again. Anyways, and that's the point. I don't know, is it? I'm not sure why, but I do have a pre-composed one that I made just in case things got weird. Because sometimes this stuff takes a little bit to set up, but then when you do, it's really exciting. Because you can sort of make these like little instruments and these little jams with yourself. So like I recorded this short little kalimba sound last night. And what you can do is you can set up so it's like almost like a little jam with yourself, basically. And you know, I got really into it last night, and you can record anything and just sort of play along with yourself. So, as an experiment, I'm not sure how well this will work live. What if I'm gonna see what happens if I replace this with a live microphone so that every single thing I say or do will be repeated a few times. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this SF play that I had and I'm going to replace it with a microphone. And to do that, the easiest way is to just paste replace. It didn't work. And that's okay. That's part of learning, you know, but that's the thing about Max is that, you know, it's extremely dangerous. And I actually think that was not due to Max, but the way I have my sound set up to go into to video record right now, basically. So when you're, you know, in a safer place, you can mess around with that. So I won't right now. I knew that was risky, but that's okay. And that's Max basically is that, you know, you try things and you make mistakes and you get to sort of play around and like figure out, you know, something that's right for you. And a lot of these patches, I mean, you know, I stay up all night working on them, and it's really fun because when you perfect them, you end up with something that, you know, is really exciting, and something that's, you know, really uniquely yours, which is really fun. Um, so that's delay, and delay can be very fun and very exciting and very dangerous, as we've seen. Another one of my absolute favorite things to do is called Gizmo, because Gizmo, what it does is it changes the pitch of everything that you have coming in. So if I go back to my favorite hello again file, oh, and I have to turn sound back on. So let me, everything's safe. Everything's safe. Hello again. Hello again. Hello again. There we are. Hello again. Hello again. Hello again. Hello again.
Hello again. Hello again. Hello again. Hello again.
Hello again. Hello again. So Gizmo, when you set it up like this, it allows you to actually change the pitch of whatever sounds are coming in. And I absolutely love this. I can play around with this all day. And, you know, if you open something like if I play my favorite kalimba sound, then you can play different notes. You can play it like it's an instrument almost. That one kalimba hit becomes an entire piano. I'll just add a little volume change here. Give me 1 second. Let's see how that sounds. It's a little better. Still a little quiet, but... And the really fun thing about Max is that it's very, very great with MIDI. So I have a MIDI keyboard next to me. And what you can do is connect your keyboard with Max. Oh. So what I do is I use this note in function. And Max has a lot of objects that allow you to do different things with MIDI, which is really fun because, you know, I like Max. I like creating objects and moving them around and clicking and dragging them. But what I don't always like is to be making music and always being on my keyboard and mouse all the time. So I just need to, I'm not sure if my keyboard is hooked up properly because I just moved it all around, but there it is. So all of a sudden I can play a song on whatever I want. And if I want to go to my hello again, then that becomes...
Hello again. Hello again. Hello again. Hello again.
Hello again.
Hello again. Hello again. Hello again.
And And yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of fun with this. You know, you can put anything in here. You can make any sound, um, basically anything you want. Which I have a whole lot of fun with. You know, you can the sound of you clapping or you know your friends speaking. All of a sudden, you can make it really high pitched and weird, or you can make music out of any sound. You know, you could take the sound of you can hit a spoon on a glass, and all of a sudden you can play a song with that sound really easily. So another thing that's really fun to do that I really like to do with my keyboard is this is kind of like a massive show and tell, basically, just me, all of the fun things that I like to do in Max. Um, this one is great because I've showed you ways that you can make things that you've already recorded with external sound into something interesting, but there's this object called cycle tilde. And cycle tilde is what's called an oscillator. It's kind of like a very, very simple primitive synthesizer, which can be really fun because it has a lot of things that you can do and change to it. So it's called cycle tilde. And again, I'm just going to set up, where the sound's going to go. So through to here. And then I just need to have my speaker at the end. So it's going to come out through the speaker. And for it to play, which I'm glad it didn't there, all I need to do is tell it what frequency to play at. So, and actually one more thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a live scope so you can see what it looks like. Oh, and I need to turn the DSP on. So this is the oscillator, and you can see how the waveform changes as I move the pitch up and down. So now it's below the range of human hearing, but you can see how slow it is. And that's all it is. It's just sound moving up and down in a wave like that. And then as I move up, it gets faster and faster, and you can hear it. And I have so much fun doing that. But yeah, and so just how you made my voice and how I made the kalimba turn into notes, you can just use this as notes. If I bring back that little piano, my favorite case slider here, and I use a little object that allows me to translate the notes into the oscillator, then all of a sudden you have a piano that you can do whatever you want with. And again, this is something that I can connect my MIDI keyboard to very easily. And then all of a sudden, you have that. It's very loud. But yeah, that's one of the really fun things you can do really easily whenever you need to set anything up, and you can do the keyboard with anything basically. So I'm going to take that off just to be safe and show you a little patch that I made that uses these. And so basically this patch I set up last night, and what it does is it uses something I use all the time in Max because it's one of my favorite parts about the program, is this little object right here called peak amp. And what peak amp does is it tells you the loudest sound that comes through. So you can see how this changes here, and every time I light up here from my microphone that's here. And what you can do is you can say, when it gets above a specific loudness, I want you to trigger something using those bangs. And so I have a little bit of a series of objects set up here that will basically do that for me. And what I have decided is, okay, every time the sound goes above a specific threshold, I want it to play a completely random sound on my synthesizer. So here, if I think, we'll see if this works. It's one of those things is, maybe it doesn't sometimes, but if I give a quick snap, I think what I'll have to do is just lower the threshold a little bit here. Oh, well, maybe not. Oh, there we go. Huh. This is the classic, the I swear it worked right beforehand kind of thing. But let me go back to another object I know a little better called G-gate.
Maybe the threshold needs to be lower.
Oh, you think so? Okay, let me try. Yeah, and if you can spot any, please let me know because I know Tyler, you're amazing with Max. So I think it's something with how I have one bank set up right here. So I'm gonna go to another guy called G-gate. I mean, they all do the same thing basically. Honestly, I can just even set it like this. So what happens? Sometimes you sometimes you set up a patch and then as soon as you close it and open it, something doesn't work. But the wonderful thing about Max that I haven't mentioned is that it has help files. And these help you figure out everything you need to do. So let me just see if it has something to do with the fact that, for example, sometimes there's tiny little things like, oh, I didn't put a 0 here. Well, I guess not. Because I can put in a random. So this is what it does, is basically it plays an absolute random note. And, if I wasn't in a workshop and, demonstrating, I could sit here and figure out what it does and fix it so that basically whenever I play a sound, it gives me a little synthesizer note. And it can give me a completely random note so that I can almost like play along with the computer and have like basically like a duet buddy. And I could even restrict those notes even further and say, let's say I wanted you to only play notes in like a C major chord, but I still wanted it to be random notes, like between C, E, G, and C, and then I could play along with it, and the Max patch would give me random notes while I played. Now, of course, it's better when it works. But I promise this is something that, you can figure it out, you can put it in, and you can make it like more of a final instrument and a little bit less messy. And it can become something that, you can pull up again and again and again. And I still use Max patches that I made years ago, such as my microphony filter patch. So that's another thing that you can do is this amplitude threshold. And I'm actually using this same sort of idea for a research project right now. It doesn't have anything to do with music, but basically we wanted to figure out the exact millisecond that happened when somebody would hit a marimba. And I wanted them to be able to output a list of all of the milliseconds that happened. And we're using that for a research project at the university that I'm at, in order to save us a lot of work of scrolling through an audio editing file and trying to figure out the exact notes that happened. So this is a really wonderful use of Max that I love. That it's hard to use in conventional software. So I think the very
And I want to just emphasize something really quickly because, like, Tim mentioned that there's like really great help files, and there's also a really amazing community around Mac, online forums where people post their patch, and that's a really great resource for learning like what you can do with Max and what's possible. And oftentimes, how I don't know, maybe Tim, you could do this too, but like a lot of times, how I learned to do Max was just by looking at other people's stuff, like other people's patches and what they were doing, and I would draw inspiration from that. So
oh,
that's a really cool aspect of Max too.
absolutely, yeah. And I wouldn't have learned Max if it wasn't for that. First of all, there's so much amazing documentation in the patch itself, and you can just right click any object and you can open its help file, and it opens on the other screen, and it tells you exactly how to use it. And the best part is that this is also a patch. So instead of redoing this, what I do is I just select it all and I just copy and paste it into my own patch when I need to use it. And also, just like Tyler mentioned, if you go on, YouTube, you can find so many amazing MaxMSP tutorials, how to do specifically what you want, even if you don't understand how any of it works, which I never do. I always just, I'll find somebody else who's done it, and they can help me sort of put it together. And if they include code, then you can just download their patch and sort of like use it in order to do anything that you want to figure out. And that's exactly what I did with this. I'll show you one short clip of something. The last thing I wanted to talk about in Max that I really love is that you can do a lot of really cool video things. So I don't have the patch on me right now, and it's sort of complicated enough that I didn't want to open it up. But I do have this video recording of a project I did with our other roommate, Jasmine Sui. And what we wanted to do is we thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if an artist could control a synthesizer? And so we came up with this piece where Jasmine is an amazing artist, and she could draw on her iPad. And we used Max to convert her drawings into basically MIDI control files that we sent to a synthesizer. So we set the synthesizer up, and then Jasmine sort of controlled it and made it sound all funky and wobbly using her iPad and just drawing. And of course, this is something that I had no idea how to do it when I started. I just knew I wanted to do something like this, and I just went and I found a lot of guides on the internet, and through those and through lots of forum topics, I was able to sort of figure something out that could get the effect that we wanted. So here's a quick excerpt of that. So here, each color did a different thing for the synthesizer. So that's why she kept it to everything here is green, orange, and purple, because orange controlled one aspect of the synthesizer, green controlled another, and purple controlled a third. So we were able to use Max like that. It was almost more. It was more of a video project and an art project than a music project. And Tyler and I took a course together when we were in school together, where we did a similar thing. Well, the entire course was about that. So I put together this patch. It doesn't quite, this is something I put together years ago and doesn't quite work as much as you think it is sometimes. But basically I was like, I want to do this thing that plays with this video of ducks and this video of, I believe they're llamas. And so you can crossfade between the two, and you can sort of change the looping aspects of both these videos. And my favorite part was you could really make these videos start to look crazy by changing all of the colors and effects on here. So all of a sudden I have, red llamas. And they get crazy. So these are all the things. I mean, this is really the tip of the iceberg. Tyler and I we have a friend who started learning Max when he was very, very young, when he was in elementary school, and he just he would do it with his dad, and he always got really into it, and he's amazing. Now he can, he speaks it like a language. It's crazy, but yeah, no, thanks so much for listening to me talk about it, and